agenda meeting, and it's 6:30 on January 16th. Yes, we will start off with, is Finn here?
No, he was unable to make it tonight. So
okay. Who wants to do the Pledge of Allegiance? I'll put you in charge, Brian. You get to do it every day, so you're
all right.
you're
I'll go ahead and
at
do
it.
it. So.
Okay.
All right, if everybody could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Right hand up, hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
All right. Do we have any changes or additions to the agenda? This is supposed to be all budget, but if anybody has anything super important, I can't wait. Okay. So I guess we'll go on to the budget. So I don't know who. Brian, do you want to talk about any?
Yeah, I can go ahead and start, and then Julie and Deb and Christian, I know you weren't at the meeting, but you gave some input as well, so you guys can jump in. So we did have a BAC meeting on Friday evening at 6:30. So I got a dedicated group willing to meet even on a Friday evening as well. And we were all in agreement that we did not want to spend any more. We didn't feel it was wise to spend any more money on the budget, to keep the budget as it is, because it's a good budget. It's a good sound budget, but we also didn't feel that we could really cut anything without being detrimental to the school. So then we focused on that surplus money that we have, the $549,000, and how we feel that we should possibly spend that, because giving it right back to the state doesn't seem that wise, since it's not going to affect our tax rate at all. And so we definitely like the idea of having a future tax relief fund for our town and being able to put some of the money towards that. And then also putting some of the money towards one-time capital expenses at the school, of things that we could do to help improve the school that would not only benefit our students and our staff, but also our community as a whole. And so we came up with a rather large list of items that we thought that we could come up with, that we thought would be reasonable. We looked at a couple of necessities that we have. We have a circular pump that's out. We have a couple other, we have an HVAC issue that we need to get fixed at the school. And then it was like a water storage tank. Those are some things that our maintenance department suggested to us, which add up to about $40,000. And then we started looking around the school in some different areas that we thought would really benefit the school. As you come into our parking lot, we've now developed some potholes, some breaking up of our asphalt. So we thought the resurfacing or redoing our parking lot would be beneficial, maybe even trying to add a couple spots if possible, because parking is always an issue at Weathersfield. Anytime we do any event, it's always hard to make sure that we have enough parking. We also looked at some of the things that we could do inside the building, replacing some of the doors, the exterior doors that have a little wear and tear on them after several years of rain and snow, and they're just not very environmental or energy efficient anymore. And also just for the overall safety, just making sure that the doors are very secure. One of the other areas that we looked at was, we've talked about it for years, about some extra storage at schools. You never have enough storage. In the gym, we have those two large storage areas that are in each side of the stage area. And to help make that larger for PE, so that Mrs. Berry can handle more of her PE stuff up there. So to make it put a second level, because it does go up to the height of the gym. And then with doing that, we would have to sprinkler it as well to make sure that we're meeting all our fire codes. And so we also talked about, with that on one of the sides, that on the bottom portion, we could actually wall part of it off and then have it be so that our coaches who are coaching sports could have access to that section of the school to be able to get equipment that they need from the storage area without getting into the rest of the school. And then we could do away with that outdoor storage shed that we're going to need to do something with because it's literally falling apart. And then we do lose lots of sports equipment on a yearly basis due to mice that get in there and do their business and helmets and chew things up. And I won't get into any more details about that. So those are just some of the areas. Adding some picnic benches around the school that would be all-weather benches that could be outside so that the kids could eat outside possibly at times. Also that they could then be used for community events. And then on the weekends when families are there, if they're playing on the fields, playing on the play structure, that they'd have a place to sit and even have a picnic. And then adding some more benches for sporting events. And just doing a few other things around the school. Help me out, BA, see if I'm forgetting something off the top of my head.
I'm sorry, I think I might say the wrong room, but the room that the dance was just held in, the AP room, is that the one?
Yep,
Okay.
the AP room too, giving the AP a little bit of a refreshing there. We worked on a little bit within our budget, trying to get things done. Thanks, Julie. And then just make it look a little bit more, so it doesn't look sort of like a gymatorium anymore. It looks more like a cafeteria because although we got rid of the basketball hoops and some of the other things, it still has that gym vibe. What else did we talk about?
We also talked about the field and possible scoreboard.
Oh, yep.
Having it be solar powered scoreboard, so it's not running lines underneath the field.
And also just trying to just do some general maintenance to the field to just kind of bring it back to life a little bit, which kind of goes hand in hand with doing the parking lot. So that way we're not tearing up the field with having to have people park on it if we've improved the parking lot and expanded it.
And then it was brought up about using maybe some of the funds for Hoisington Field, but we didn't think that was possible since that's not an actual school site. It's not part of the actual school, so I didn't feel we could use that money for it, but I did say we'd check on that because I want to be able to, or we wanted to be able to keep the funds right at the school. Anything else we mentioned? There was a list of things we mentioned. I'm trying to remember everything.
There was a few other, Brian, talking about maybe looking into bringing in some educational courses. In my notes, I have Mr. Rich, which was the drum guy. I can't remember exactly what it was, but trying to expand upon some programs that could run during the school day that would benefit all of the students outside of just obviously improvement to the school, but some type of enrichment courses that we could look into bringing back that maybe were done in previous years.
So thank you. So I think those were some of the ideas that we had. And of course we could add to that list or we would definitely prioritize the list as far as what we feel that needs to be done first, or that would have the most impact on our school community and our community as a whole.
Okay. Did we want to just set some kind of dollar amount on that, or do we want to actually like list out projects?
So we were thinking about dividing it the surplus up. We were thinking about 200,000 just to be part of the future tax relief fund, and then the remaining 349,000 to be part of this capital enrichment improvement project.
Okay. So would we just put that money into the capital reserve fund and then take it out as we approve projects, Brian? Or
that I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure how we'd actually do that if we put it in the capital reserve. Maybe Ed could answer that question that was on here about how we'd be able to to document how to spend that money. Maybe Ed or Christine can answer that one.
I don't think that Weathersfield has to vote on those, right? Anne Marie, correct me if I'm wrong. If we put it in the capital reserve fund, it can be spent.
Yeah,
without a vote.
The board votes on it when we spend the capital reserve, but it's not a townwide vote. Yeah.
So it could go in capital reserve, or it could stay in the budget if you know you're going to spend it on these particular improvements. Ed, do you have advice on that?
I would put it into the capital reserve.
Okay.
It gives you a lot more flexibility. Although projects like that drum thing that you mentioned,
Rich the drummer. Yeah.
right, Rich the drummer, that probably wouldn't qualify for the
No.
capital reserve, but most of the other stuff that you mentioned would.
And was that the correct total, Ed? 549,000? I thought you gave me a number today that was a little bit different than that.
In terms of the
The
capital
surplus,
or
the surplus
yeah.
from FY23,
yes, that's right.
549 even.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, 549,919. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions or any other ideas, or has anybody done any other thinking about what we should do?
I have one thing I want to just kind of add. So if we move money to give like a tax relief, are we talking this year with this increase, or are we talking for future years?
We're talking about once they change things, because right now it doesn't make a difference if we give them the extra money. It doesn't reduce our tax rate. So until such time as it makes sense and will actually help with the tax rate, we wouldn't want to use it. Which that could be 5 or 6 years from now when this Act 126, is it, or 7? Yeah, till that's over.
So as far as voting in March, it's not going to look any different, like to the town. We're still going to have this increase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this year. I was wondering, Ed, did you, what's our, you know how it was 1.1% increase when we were putting the whole FY23 overage towards the budget? If we take that out, then what's our increase then per pupil increase?
Yeah, just give me 1 second, okay?
Yep. So I don't know if you guys were all on when I was talking about it, but Nikki, one of the other board chairs, the one in Heartland, she actually did like a spreadsheet for the whole state and found out that on average, everybody has a CLA of 78%. That's the average CLA, which is incredibly low for an average. So there may be some refiguring going on at some point, but it's not going to be in time to help us with our budget passing in March.
So you want to reduce it by 200,000?
No, we don't want to give the state any of that money. We're not putting any of it back into the budget. Some of it's going to go into the capital reserve, and the rest of it's going to go into this tax relief fund. Or at least that's what we're talking about doing.
Jesus. I'm having computer problems. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Does anyone have anything else they want to discuss while Ed's working on the numbers? So as far as the board goes, are most of you pretty comfortable with doing kind of what I just described to Ed? So going with the budget as we have it, and taking the extra money from FY23 and splitting that between the capital reserve fund and this newly created tax relief fund.
How does the tax relief, how do the funds for the tax relief transfer from us to the town, or is it just in holding by us?
It's in holding by us. It wouldn't have, Yeah, until, like, we would have to use, it would be for us to use in a future budget to help offset taxes.
Okay.
So similar
So-
to what we wanted to do with it this year, but since it doesn't offset taxes at all, it doesn't matter this year.
If you took out the entire 549, 919, it would, your percentage increase would be 8.57, which is still under the 10%.
Okay. But okay.
So your tax rate doesn't change as long as you stay under the 10%.
Okay. So we would in no way have to go to one of these meetings where we have to explain our budget. Okay.
No, you would not.
I don't want to go to one of those meetings. So, okay.
So Ed, if they're going to vote, you have numbers on what the total budget would be?
8,779,680.
Okay.
That's 8,779,680.
Okay. Becky, did you get that number? Because we'll just say insert number.
I got 8,779,680.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. And then as a board, we need to decide, we need to figure out the numbers with that 549,000. Do we want to split it directly in half between those two funds, or you have any other ideas? I was thinking in half is probably good.
I vote go with the recommendations of the BAC.
Okay. And so theirs would be a little bit more
200 in future tax relief, 349 capital expenditures.
Okay.
349,919.
Right.
Somebody's got to have the 919.
Right.
So my only thing with that is so we have this target list of projects, ideas, but who and what is executing it and when? Because I just feel like, we can throw out 25 projects that need to be done or that are wanted, but who is it that actually is going to decide what order we do this in, or what, say if it's a safety issue or a parking lot issue, is that going to trump some of these other ideas? Like how are we going to go forward with that? It's a lot of money, that's a lot of money to.
Yeah. We probably let Brian bring the projects to us in the order that he thinks they need to be done. If we disagree with him, then maybe we can, talk to him and get him to move something up if something seems more important to us. But we hired Brian for a reason, so I like to give him, to be the one in charge of making those kind of decisions. But he would come to us to get the money, because we would have to vote for each project, I would think, as it comes along.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I guess I agree with that. Going with the BAC recommendations. Does everybody else agree with that, or we have anybody that wants to say anything else on the board? Okay. Does someone want to make that motion? It would be to pass the budget for 8 million, whatever. I don't know all the numbers.
I can give you the number. 8,779,680.
Yeah, 8,779,680. And I guess in that we have to also say taking the FY23 surplus and splitting it 200,000 for a taxpayer relief fund, or whatever we're calling it. What are we calling it exactly?
Future tax relief. You may want to do them in separate votes,
Okay.
because they're separate. There'll be separate articles on your
Okay.
warning.
So does someone want to make a motion on the budget?
Vince had raised his hand.
Vincent did.
Sure.
I don't.
I'll make one.
I don't think I have, I don't have the right side thing on, so I can't see when you're raising your hands. Okay. All right. So Vincent is making that motion. Okay. All in favor? Well, actually, I should have to take a roll call because we're online. I'll start
Yeah.
with Sarah.
Can you just for to make sure we're doing it right, can you say that amount, Vince?
Oh, the motion for the budget, $8,779,680.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Okay, and I'll start with Sarah. Or are there any other? Is there any questions or anyone have anything else? Okay, we'll take the votes. Sarah,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Vincent,
Aye.
and I will also be an aye. So that passes unanimously. And then I will take a motion to set up the taxpayer relief fund. Is that what we're calling it?
For 200,000.
Or 200,000.
So moved.
Okay. Is any other further discussion? Okay. Sarah,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Vincent,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
and I will also be an aye. And then we have to make a motion for the 300
Anne
and
Marie, I have
Yes.
a question. So for that motion, should I say, motion to set up a tax relief fund in the amount of $200,000 from surplus funds from FY23? Or do I
Yes.
need to say that? Okay.
And then
Do you want, Anne Marie, we talked, the one I found said for the next 2 years. Do you want this one to say,
I would just, if you can just leave that end part off.
leave that off? Okay. Yep.
And it'll be just a straight 200,000
Okay.
instead of the,
Yep.
and well, actually also the FY20.
And the FY20.
Units, right?
Change that.
Okay. I will take a motion to it's 349,919
919. Yep.
For the capital reserve fund from the surplus from FY23. Someone like to make that motion?
I'll make it.
Okay, Vincent made the motion. Is there any further discussion?
No.
I'll start with Sarah,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Vincent,
Aye.
and I'm also an aye. So that's unanimous. Okay. I guess that's it for the budget, right? So I have to hope that the state gets its stuff together.
Mhm.
Figures this out.
So I will give all this information to Lori tonight, and she just wanted me to let you know that she's going to send the warning through DocuSign, and if you could sign it as soon as possible, then we can get it to the printer. I think BJ said by the 19th.
Okay.
So that's coming out.
Yep.
So just look for it tomorrow.
Yep. I'm gonna write my thing tomorrow, BJ. I promise. I gotta go to bed tonight, though. I'm so tired. Okay. So is there anything else for tonight's meeting?
I just wanted to take the opportunity again to thank the BAC for all their hard work. I appreciate everything that they
Thank
did
you.
and meeting on a Friday night and hashing everything out. So they just put in a lot of thoughtful, long hours. So I do really appreciate that. And I know our school and our town appreciates that as well.
Yes. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay. I guess I will take a motion to adjourn. There's nothing else.
So moved.
Okay. And I think we can just say aye.
Aye.
I
It's unanimous. Okay. Well, thanks everybody. This is a rough one. We'll have a lot